So Cooper Cronk, who's got this enormous essay in front of him tonight, takes the Melbourne Storm out in defence of their crown. 2 matches and a chance for 3 grand final trophies on their mantelpiece. Minor premiers 3 years in a row. And there he is, Cooper Cronk, who has not missed 1 minute of all the games played by Melbourne this year. And Greg Inglis, the number 6. They were without Cameron Smith in round 21 last year against the Sharks at Toyota, but off the genius of that man, they won. Incidentally, Inglis did not play in round 2 this year when the Sharks beat Melbourne at the Graveyard. Mouth-watering weekend of football. Not a lot of us thought that Cronulla would be here tonight playing Melbourne, and probably fewer thought that the Warriors would be here tomorrow night playing Manly.
And the Sharks taking their time to come out. The Storm have already been on the playing service for a little while. Again, maybe a few little mind games being employed here. I don't think it'll face the Storm too much. They look ready to battle.
The men from the Shire contesting only their 2nd final series in 6 seasons and their first preliminary final since 2002. They will get a mighty welcome. In rounds 1 and 2 of the Telstra Premiership this year, they beat Manly in round 1. They beat Melbourne in round 2. They've got to do the same, you would think, in the final 2 weeks of the competition. Of course, the Warriors will have something to say about that. Brett Kimmorley, the most experienced finals player in the Sharks team. 14 appearances for 7 wins and 7 losses in finals. His 15th year of first grade. He's never played better. And there's Luke Douglas, 73 games in a row since he debuted in 2006. He once said to Mum and Dad, "I just want to play footy on TV." He did that in 03 in a Jersey Flegg final. Maybe he's got a few more viewers tonight. Tony Archer blows time on. The Sharks will carry the football back to Melbourne for the first challenge of offence versus defence. Down on the northern end of the ground, the Sharks with Ross sent off, of course, in that match and got a long spell on the sidelines. He and Brett White eventually finishing up at the judiciary. The match that Cronulla won by a point. Their captain Gallen plays it on the 30-metre line, and here goes De Gois running to the southern end and getting almost to halfway. And a very good run by the dummy half for Cronulla in the opening set. Now Kimmorley stabs it down for Slater. His kicks will be aimed at keeping Slater as much contained as possible.
And to do that, Ray, he won't kick high, and that's what the beauty of the Brett Kimmorley kicking game is. He finds the ground. Slater won't be catching it on the football and returning it as White takes it outside his 30, gets pushed back inside it.
So Cronulla making ground in the tackle. And now the front row forward, Jeffrey Lima, in his 50th Storm game tonight. To Inglis, and Greg punches it down the ground. It bounces inside the 10. It's picked up by the triple try scorer from a fortnight ago and brought back. Mizzy Talapapa. Now for Carney. And the fullback is grounded centre ground. 30 away from his own line, tackled by Lima. Now it goes away, and this is Douglas, who's out to his own 40-metre line. So a safe start for Cronulla, their first set completed. The same for Melbourne, they kicked early. Now Cronulla on their second set. To the halfway line, towards the eastern side of the ground. And here goes his man again, De Gois, pushing him away before he got the ball back. And that is Green, who will play the ball on the 40-metre line. It's spun away then from the dummy half to the boot of Kimmorley. This time he does go high. He goes in the direction, though, of Anthony Quinn. And the Melbourne winger is tackled, and again, look at the ground they're making without the football. And
just a bit of running repairs there for Isaac De Gois after that last charge of his. A bit of a knock around the head as Matt Guy again on the end of a driving tackle. That's the winger, Talapapa, coming in to help out.
Here's Inglis then, with no markers, certainly no markers working. And he takes it 22, 23 metres away from his own line as Aitken at the dummy half position gives it away to the right side for Lima. And Lima goes down under this very enthusiastic defence in the early part from Cronulla. A defence that I guess you would expect in a preliminary final. Here's Cronk splitting through. Over the halfway goes the little man. Comes to the last defender. Kicks to the right for Turner. It might beat him. No, it won't. Turner puts it down. Turner scores. Melbourne are over. Cronk has gone through a big gap and Turner scores.
He couldn't believe it, Cooper Cronk, when he caught the football. He was 2 passes wide. Greg Inglis was first receiver. When he caught the football and looked, he was shaping to kick or pass. In the end, the gap was there and he took it. And what a precision kick at the end of it from Cooper Cronk. Steve Turner on the fly out wide. Inglis finds Cronk. He shapes to kick. A little shimmy on the outside and gets in between defenders. And he sums up the situation perfectly. The bounce, ideal for Turner, crosses wide out, opening points, early minutes.
Wonderful stuff there by the Melbourne Storm. They may well have been denied a chance to score underneath the post there. Billy Slater copped a check in running as he tried to get through. He was right with Cooper Cronk when he made the break. Cronk heard that he had fallen out of the play. That's why he kicked long for Turner. And from up here, it looked like the ball was going to go out over the sideline. But then at the last moment, set up beautifully for the right winger for the Melbourne Storm, who is now taking over the goal kicking in the absence of Cameron Smith. Big job for him tonight. That's a blistering start by the minor premiers.
Well, it's a huge job for this man. Probably something a little bit forgotten. Cameron Smith is their first string goal kicker. We saw there 4 from 4 this year, Steve Turner. I think he kicked about 5 last year, so 9 in 2 seasons. Not ideal for finals football. He struck it, but will miss.
So no conversions. It is 4-0 in favour of the defending premiers. Laurie Daly is on the sideline.
Great start by the Melbourne Storm, and in particular Cooper Cronk just taking the ball to the line. They were wondering about the leaders tonight in this Melbourne Storm side with no Cameron Smith. Well, he's got the C next to his name, Cooper Cronk. That's a tremendous start. What about the kick? And Turner, the first 4-pointer of the night.
So the kickoff is taken by Cavell. Slater marked the ball, and he sends Lima back to them. And he's tackled 15 metres away from his own line. The last 2 meetings between the 2 clubs, the same scoreline, 17-16. Once to Melbourne, once to Cronulla. This year, the victory goes to the Sharks, and that's a penalty to Melbourne.
Yeah, Brett Camorley claiming that there was a push from the Melbourne player. That's why there was entanglement after Kafusi tried to get up and play the football. Camorley, the man that couldn't get out of the road.
It's one of the biggest issues in the game, Peter, about fellas walking off the mark before they play the ball. It's all designed to try and get penalties out of the marker defenders when you run from dummy half. I think Kafusi there stepped off the mark. Camorley was right.
Here's Lima again. Now for Aitken, and he goes short away to Johnson. Johnson just inside the Cronulla 30-metre line. Play towards the western side. Aitken goes to the open side and turns it back in for Brett Wright, and heavy contact, or Brett White I should say, and the Cronulla player is down. I think it's Ben Ross. I think it's the adversary from the clash in Melbourne, where both men finished up getting time from the judiciary. Now they knock on. Greg Inglis knocking on. The 8 is down. It is Ben Ross. A clash with Brett White.
Adam, over here.
There's some complaints here from the Sharks that Brett White has done something untoward while carrying the ball. The referee said, we'll have a look at it. Brett White comes forward. There's nothing there. Nothing there at all. Well, maybe as they hit the ground, that's different. Let's see here. They clash. Nothing so far. Nothing so far. There's your little knock. And get that into you as you go down. Now, these two have got form. They clashed in round 2 this year and both ended up at the judiciary.
Okay. Penalty to Cronulla for the elbow.
Well, as you heard the referee say, penalty to Cronulla for the elbow. There wasn't a lot in that. That man did get 7 weeks for hitting Cooper Cronk after they kicked the football back in round 2. That man got a month for his retaliation. They were at the Dragons together back in 2002. Good friends then. They were roommates, but it's gone downhill since.
Well, if you put the shoe on the other foot, if Brett White was tackling and did that in the tackle, he'd have been sent off. I think the fact that he's got the ball there has stopped him, has kept him on the field.
So it's a free interchange for Cronulla. And players just on the Melbourne side of halfway. The 16ers out there for the Sharkies. Kate Snowden, 35 metres away now from the Melbourne line. A chance for Cronulla to go left to Kamali, and it's been overrun. It's been picked up, and it's been overrun again. Well, that was sloppy in a nice sense for Cronulla. I'm being very kind to them. They're on the 40-metre line now in the centre of the ground. The ball played there by Ben Pomeroy. And now held up in the tackle is Luke Douglas. Coming from the Northern Rivers of New South Wales. Away then for Kamali to get a pass out at the last moment to Fraser Anderson. And Anderson to ground. The turnover will happen.
Yeah, you said sloppy, Rain. It was a sloppy set, even to the end where they didn't get a kick away. Anderson's not the man, should be catching the football in the last. They put pressure on Kamali. He couldn't kick. They need a better option, and that's where Blake Green has to put his hand up.
Quinn with the dummy half run, ending right on the 40-metre line in the centre of the ground, and Snowden was involved with Adam Peake, and here's Brett White. He'll attract some attention. He's put down just on his side of halfway. Aiken doing the dummy half job. Cronk back into the middle. Slater ferreting around. Got the ball away. It's gone to Quinn. And Quinn will play the ball. They've got them a bit at 6s and 7s at the moment. To the right side for Cronk to go back in for Slater. Living at the back of the play, the ball is Slater. And Aiken listening to his captain, Cronk, and it's gone to Inglis's boot on the left side of the ruck. And Inglis goes very high, and Quinn has come down with the catch. And he can't make the line, or can he make the line? Eventually held up, and that's changeover.
Tony Archer was waiting for that little run there to end, just in case he flopped over the line and put it down. But the Sharks had diffused it, and they just look a little... Sometimes when you have the week off and a 15-day break, you don't start so well. The timing's not there, and the Sharks have just got to simplify it in the early stages to get through this period before they're in the game.
Played by Talapapa. Carney the dummy half. The ball goes away to Snowden, and Snowden beats the first tackle from Inglis. Eventually is held down by Geyer and Aiken. It goes to the right side. It's with Adam Peake, and Peake is hit, and he got the ball away when going to ground to Carney, and Carney comes up to the halfway line, right in the centre of the ground in the Harvey Norman sign. He plays it back for a Green to go on to Kamali to give it on now for Douglas, and Douglas is wrapped over the top. And the tackle there of Israel Folau over the top of Brett White. Now it comes away to the kick from Kamali. It's gone down in the direction of Slater and Quinn in the backfield comes off his 10. Is taken by Talapapa and put down. 4-0 in favour of Melbourne. Try to Steve Turner.
He's a tough little fellow, this Missy Talapapa, doesn't he? He goes in with everything, boots and all. Whether he's running the ball or tackling, he just charges in.
First preliminary final. The team winning tonight goes through to the grand final.
An accidental offside or knock on there. Just to mix up the dummy half, looking to find one receiver and found another. And that's where Cameron Smith is missed.
It's the tackle of the fellow Phil Gould was talking about. There's not much of him. Missy Talapapa.
Well, the Sharks have got some set plays off the back of attacking scrums here, usually involving Carney, something around the middle of the ruck. They either go with the first play or the second play for their big shot.
So Kamali working with his lock forward and captain. They go away to Green to Carney. Turner came in and left a big gap down that right side, but he got his job done with an ankle tapping tackle. And then Green's pass goes to ground. So on the second play, Cronulla have botched it again.
And again, that's just the fact that they're a little bit new. They've had a fortnight off. It's different in the heat of battle than it is at training. Doesn't matter how often you do this at training, you can't replicate the nerves and the pressure of playing in finals football. Like I said, they've got to keep it really simple until they've settled into the contest.
So Folau, as he does, he's into first receiver off the scrum in a defensive situation. This is Kafusi, and he's 38 metres out from his own line. Third minute of the game, first try scorer for you people that have bet with TAB Sports Bet. And if you back Steve Turner, you've got an appointment to collect tomorrow. Johnson goes through. Cronk gives it on. Inglis goes behind. All runs around behind. It's a penalty. He ran around behind Michael Crocker. And Tony Archer went to blow the whistle, didn't blow the whistle, then thought about it and gave the penalty.
And this is where I wonder about Greg Inglis as a first or second receiver, because he's a freewheeler. He likes to get out wide with a little bit of space. He's already dropped the ball for no reason tonight. Then, because he's in two minds, he runs behind a teammate. And it's all because he's labelled with the responsibility of ball playing, which I've never thought it suited him well. He's a great player, so he gets away with it, but it doesn't suit him.
Now, can Cronulla get it right this time? A second ball creeps onto the ground. That'll be the reason for the timeout.
Give him the ball back. There's 2 balls on the field. It's tackle 1.
Paul Gallen playing the ball. 15 from the line. This is Adam Peake. Picked up and dumped onto the ground heavily by the Melbourne combination of Johnson and White. They come back towards the centre for Kamali to turn it in. And this is the 11 Douglas, the youngster is talking about. What a record. 73 matches consecutively since he debuted in 06. A little double punt from De Gois. It's gone onto green, and again it's gone to ground. Israel is running free. Israel is outside the 30.
Going back, double knock-on.
Double knock-ons.
Double knock-on
just got the call.
back inside the 20-metre line.
That's a good pick-up by Tony Archer.
Knock-ons.
There did appear to be a little bobble there.
Double chidge. Yeah.
But again, the
Double
Sharks
knock-ons.
trying to squeeze one through here. Gallen looking at the defence, and I'd say that he's saying the knock-on there from Cooper Cronk, who didn't appear to play at the ball, but his hand definitely touched it. And it'll be a Melbourne Storm feed.
Well, this start from the Sharks tonight is almost reminiscent of how the Raiders started against them 2 weeks ago in week 1 of the finals. Nervy start. If we have a look at the bench, fairly happy bench with the way things are going at the moment. They need to settle down. The Sharks have had some good opportunities and handed the football over with poor errors early in the count.
Played by Turner now. 3 times this year. They've had to play without Cameron Smith. 3 times they've lost. In fact, when Smith plays, the overall record shows me they win 70% of the time. When he doesn't play, they win 50% of the time.
Yeah, probably a bit misleading that, Ray. Those 3 times he was away this year was at Origin time, and they had the bulk of their first-grade team away, so no surprise they got beaten.
This is a good run by Aitken. Played back for Turner, and Turner does his little stint at dummy half before passing it to Cronk, and that kick will be too big. Rolls away over the dead ball line at the southern end, the Moore Park Road end of the ground.
I've got to say that kick looked deliberate, although he's admonishing it himself now, but he seemed to give it a fair reef there. Sometimes they do that just to get themselves set in defence before they have to tackle, but he seemed disappointed by it.
So Johnson, the tackler. The tackle was on Snowden. There's Talapapa. He's got a bit of Carmichael Hunt about him, hasn't he? He's a bit of a kamikaze in many ways. Now De Gois right on the line, pass to Kamali. Kamali got it away to Fraser Anderson. And Anderson will play the ball near halfway. Nutley is out there for Cronulla now, and he takes it ahead to number 14, one of the elder statesmen of the game. Now it's gone away for Snowden to turn it around the corner for Kamali to go on to Green, and they knock on again. Well, poor old Blake Green, everything he's involved in hasn't necessarily turned to roses, and it hasn't always been his fault. But this time Douglas puts it down.
Yeah, it's not good at the moment. They've just got to persevere. The important thing for the Sharks here is the scoreboard. Now, the mistakes aren't ideal, and they're not on their game at the moment, but they still only trail by 4. As long as they can keep the scoreboard in touch, eventually their game will come back to them, and they can finish the stronger.
There's Matty Guy now.
Greg Inglis has moved out the left wing, time being for the Melbourne Storm.
To the halfway line we go, with Johnson putting a fend up, and Green goes on with the tackle and gets some help from Simmons. It's played back to Inglis, and now it's with Lima, and Lima charges up the middle of the ruck. He'll play the ball 7 metres into Cronulla's area. Now Aitken, a half dummy before going to Inglis, and then on to Cronk, and he puts a kick out for Turner again, and falling back there and taking it is Cavell. Passes immediately to Carney, and Carney is tackled on his own 30-metre line. Tackler was Brett White. Here's Cavell again. Carney appealing for a penalty for not being direct the marker. Tackle was eventually made by Cronk. Here's Gallen beating Crocker, running into White, getting a pass away, and now it's with Nutley. Nutley heads for halfway. And Danny Nutley to play the ball now. 4-0 in favour of Melbourne. A try to Turner at the 3rd minute. This is Snowden. He will play the ball. 42 metres out from Melbourne's line. Straight down the middle of the ground. De Goyce to Kamali, right side. Wanted to go in for Carney, I feel. But bad play, Carney was offside. Now De Goyce, a bad pass, and it's gone to poor Blake Green again. It's allowed to play on. Carney puts a rolling ball down in the direction of Turner. Turner hammered in defence there. Gallen and Carney. Now to the left they come for Anthony Quinn. They're guarding the southern end Melbourne. This ground hasn't been kind to either team, really. Melbourne's record here at the SFS is terrible. And I think the Sharks have lost their last 4 games at the football stadium. Here's Turner right on his own 40-metre line.
Very bunched here, the Melbourne Storm. I mean, they're not doing much with the ball at all. Cronulla's made a lot of mistakes. But Melbourne haven't looked all that dangerous with it just the same.
This is Manu just managing to hold on to the ball. Carney's had, well, Kamali had a second dip.
Have a look, mate.
Yeah. Now, I think they'll have a look at this. I think you'll find they'll go to Bill Harrigan and Paul Simpkins. I thought Kamali had a second dip at the man that was supposed to play the ball.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going up for, and I do think it might be a problem for the Sharks.
Let's see whether he reaches the ball out.
Last tackle as well.
Just wait.
Hanging on to Manu.
I don't hear from you. I've let him have it, 2 in the tackle.
Well, it's a one-on-one strip there.
Just wait.
Manu gets the football back. And then...
Yeah.
Thank you.
That will be the easiest investigation that Harrigan and Simpkins will have tonight.
That was a funny comment by Brett Kamali. He said, I took it off him and I gave it back to him so he wouldn't lose it. But then I took it off him again.
So Greg Inglis, they do offer some very funny evidence, don't they, sometimes in defence.
I took it off him and gave it back to him.
So Aitken takes the tap on the Cronulla 20-metre line. Melbourne, the defending premiers, leading 4-0 in the first half of the first preliminary final. And this is Dallas Johnson, bundled away, right in front of the uprights. Played to Aitken, who goes behind Lima, goes to Crocker. And he loses the ball. Solid tackle over there. And Blake Green was involved.
He was. I think he was the main man in forcing that out with the impact. And that will lift his spirits. Good shot on the inside from Green and the outside from Pomeroy. And that has been the problem for the Melbourne Storm in the last couple of weeks. In the attacking 20, they have not been as efficient and as clinical as they've been for most of the season.
They've actually been poor, Peter. They've been predictable. And if you're going to be predictable, the last side you want to be playing is the Sharks, because they're well drilled in defence. They don't give up many points. Not easy to come by.
That was Pomeroy who played the ball. And here is Gallen. And Paul will play the ball just outside the 20-metre line. And he gets a penalty. It's against the defence for holding him down.
I got it. Hey, Paul.
He's had a word too, Paul Gallen. Just had a bit of a chip there from the referee, Tony Archer. And he's got it. Don't go on with it.
So the tap will be taken. And Nutley charges over the halfway line, running into the tackle of Manu and Johnson and White. And now to the left side from De Goyce, they've gone to Snowden, repeating that Ben Ross was concussed in a tackle from Brett White, which brought a penalty and then brought a free interchange. And we'll check on the condition of Ross, whether or not they're going to get some more use out of him tonight, I don't know. Carney plays it outside 30. They come back to the middle. Douglas is with the ball. And Douglas is tackled on the 20-metre line. Wanted to start playing footy when he was 5. They made him wait till he was 9. Kamali, Carney, quick hands, beautiful stuff. Pomeroy puts a fend on Crocker. Comes around and beats another. It was Lima that time. He got the ball away to Nutley. It came back to Cronulla fortuitously off the hand there of Snowden. And Melbourne now get a penalty.
He was just the wrong man in the wrong place. Danny Nutley. That was unfolding beautifully. And a natural ball player would have found the outside man, but Danny Nutley took the pass. Doesn't throw many in the game. And it was intercepted. If that finds Snowden or on the outside, Fraser Anderson, a real opportunity this side of the field.
Here, boys, hold.
And Melbourne, an easy passage away from their danger zone. And Brett White shoulders it up and is met by Snowden. He's one of the two tacklers involved. The front tackler was Nutley. He's given most of his career to Cronulla-Sutherland, Danny Nutley. A stint with the Roosters, a stint in England, and with the South Queensland Crushers. But most of his career has been spent down at Botany Bay. Now Aitken, who gets a pass away. It might have been touched by Cronulla, but eventually it's been knocked on by Melbourne.
That's a big call. That's a call.
He's giving the feed to Melbourne.
Brett Cornwall, said, that's a big call, Tony Archer. And he said, yeah, but it's right. And Danny Nutley, I think, as the first marker, realised what was happening, a little switch across the play the ball. He knew what was happening and got his hand out there and knocked it on. And that's what knocked the pass down. Just throws his hand out now. There it is.
So Melbourne, a couple of calls that have gone their way. And it's with Slater going along to Turner quickly. And Turner is ridden down by Pomeroy. Now they come in to Inglis, who brings Blake Green towards him and then tries to step him 18 metres out from Cronulla's line. 4-0 in favour of Melbourne. Inglis playing the ball. Pass by Aitken to Crocker, who was outstanding against Brisbane last Saturday night. He plays the ball this time to Aitken. Aitken to Crocker. Short ball away, and Israel is over again. The big fellow, Israel Folau, has scored Melbourne's second try. And again, the inspirer was Cooper Cronk.
It was a brilliant ball from Cooper Cronk. They were selling that Billy Slater was coming around the outside at the back to get the football, and he's put it onto the chest of Israel Folau. Unstoppable. Green couldn't do so. They get their second of the night.
And a warm welcome to our networks taking us around various parts of the world tonight. Sky Television in New Zealand, and of course a major game coming up for you tomorrow night. And I'm sure over in England you'll be watching this match with a great deal of interest through Setanta. Well, this fellow has basically set the world on fire, hasn't he? In the couple of years that he's been with us, he's been Rookie of the Year, made his Test debut, made his Origin debut. They don't do any more than Israel Folau in a short space of time. Big lump of a lad, about 105 kilo, stands about 195, I think it is, last time I was looking.
And we'd love to leave the Melbourne Storm with another premiership ring off to Brisbane.
Turner's the kicker tonight. From 7 in from touch. This looks good from Turner. Yes! He nails it. And also on the sideline tonight, Matty Johns.
Yeah, thank you, Rabbits. Great play here, as Pete said, by Billy Slater. Creates a diversion for Cooper Cronk. Have a look at Slater. And Pomeroy just sees him coming and slides off. And you got ourselves a mismatch. Israel Folau on Blake Green. No chance that close.
Ray Ben Ross out there for Cronulla again, and Brett White was placed on report for that leading elbow, so no interchange registered against Ross as Lima brings it back strongly, just shy of the 20.
So Geyer taking it away from dummy half to be tackled by Nutley. I was about to say how good a defensive centre was Ben Pomeroy, and suddenly he swallowed the Slater move down the left side of the ground. Russell Aitken knocking on there. A scramble pack. It'll give the Sharks a chance.
Yeah, they've done this a couple of times, the Melbourne Storm, a little clumsy around the dummy half area. Yeah, I got to defend Ben Pomeroy a little. I think Slater was his man. You just got to expect the man on the inside can tackle Folau, and unfortunately, as Matty John said, it was a bit of a mismatch. Folau on young Green.
So Cronulla winning the scrum, and it's gone over on the left side for Pomeroy, and he was embraced there by Folau. I wasn't being critical of Pomeroy. I'm his biggest admirer defensively. I was about to give him a rap, and he's finished up with the double whammy of Slater and Folau. What do I do? So inside the 30-metre line, it's with Cronulla on the attack, and here's Ross, who's okay. Kamali goes back, second man play for Anderson. Anderson's inside the 20-metre line and taken down by Guy, who got up around the neck. I just thought I might add that. 15 metres away from the Melbourne line. And this is Nutley. Sometimes it's so hard to avoid it, isn't it, this game? Here's De Gois!
You are short! Last one!
Last tackle called by Tony Archer.
Copped a nice one in the back too there, De Gois.
Slow to his feet. Bound for Newcastle next year. Now to Kamali. Sets himself. Here's the chase down the other side. Oh, wonderful mark by Turner. People were talking about
Who's coming on?
the lack of height of Turner in a contest with Cavell.
Wait, come on, mate.
We've got a linesman on the field here, and he's standing
Right
on
there.
the mark, Ray, where you said Matty
Keep him over there,
Geyer
Cooper.
may have
there,
had
Brett.
an arm around the neck. Now he's gone straight to where that ball was played. Let's have a look. Let's have a listen.
Okay. Cooper! Cooper. Touchdowns played the advantage. The grapple, we didn't get the number of the bloke, but listen to me. Straight across.
Zip it! Zip it! Zip it!
I'll speak to him in a minute. Now, go back and calm him down. The thing is, that's your warning, mate. Tell him, go back and tell him, keep all the rubbish out of it. It's fine.
Well, they can't identify Matt Guy. That's who it was.
I'll tell you what, that's good captaincy for Cooper Cronk.
He told Anthony Quinn to shut up, zip it, zip it. Shut up, we'll cop it.
Yeah, nothing good was going to come out of a conversation involving Quinn.
It's Guy's tackle. I only made the comment. He came off it very quickly, the tackle, don't get me wrong.
That's nothing. Look, that
I
is
know
nothing.
that, Gus. I'm not saying there was anything wrong
But
with
everyone's overreacting to this stuff.
it. Well, maybe they are. That's probably what I was intimating.
That's just a normal tackle. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a huge overreaction.
Maybe so. It's just a question of where these people interpret the laws.
And De Gois is back, but he's very tender at the moment, going into dummy half.
Play by Anderson then. De Gois goes left. Oh, Kamali's put it down. Champions rarely do that. We've got a few of them sitting on the sideline tonight.
No, it went
I
into
think they
you.
might have done it once in their career, a couple
Ball
of
went
them.
into you.
Everyone does it. Everyone does it, and it's never a good time when you do, but just in trying so hard here, he had something up his sleeve, a play they wanted to run to, and he's spilled his lollies. Dear, oh dear. That's what the week off can do to
Ball
you.
in, Cooper.
It's a big advantage a week off, but it does affect the way you start your next game.
Spilling his lollies, eh? I can hear Bert Bryant from his grave saying, "That's mine. Don't let him take that too." 12 away from their line, Melbourne. Crocker. And Crocker's met by Blake Green. Here they go again, Cronulla. Look at this, good ground. No football, but good ground. And he loses the ball. And he called held, and now he's penalised.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Ray, he was happy for the man to get up and play the football.
And then he pulls him to the ground, mate.
It was only when the ball came loose
Go.
that the arm went up. I'm of the opinion Tony Archer wasn't going to
There's your mark,
rule
mate.
anything against Cronulla until the ball came loose.
What he's saying, Peter, is that I was happy with the ground you made, but I called held and you weren't allowed to throw him to the ground. And it was in throwing him to the ground the ball came
Play on.
loose. So he'll call held,
Help! Help!
he yells it out, and then they put him to the ground. When he calls held, you've got to stop pushing.
So players on the halfway line. And here's Dallas Johnson losing it out the back in the tackle, but Cronk is with it legitimately. Play back for Slater, goes right side for Lima. And certainly this game can only improve in the area of handling as it comes from Slater now to Brett White. And the youngster from Cooma to play the ball inside the 30-metre line. Play the Slater and go on to Cronk. He kicks inside. Well, Inglis was trying to chase it. I think he might have faked a hit there. It's with Kamali. And none of the officials have said anything, so it's been a little bit of play acting there by Greg Inglis. And this is Simmons.
Well, he was certainly taken without the ball.
Hold! Go!
Here's Taylor now. Out to the 30, able to take a three-man tackle and then unload. So he mightn't have a big frame, but he's still got the strength and the ability to offload. Here's Nutley. And Nutley will play it near halfway. Blair is on. Brett White gets his first rest period after half an hour. Kamali across and showing it and showing it and showing it before giving it to Pomeroy, who got rid of Crocker. And he then straightens into the arms of Blair in 15. Johnson in 30. 35 away from the line. Cronulla attacking. And a little kick from Kamali, going down gently and friendly for Turner. And Turner is upended on the 20-metre line. Now it's with Crocker, and he's put down. Gallon, the tackler, in 13. Here's Falau taking it away and getting it 5 metres beyond the 30 for Slater to go into dummy half. And then on to Inglis, and now on to Quinn. And Quinn looking for a gap to present. He was given a little bit of a decoy from Manu. Slater goes ahead. Cronk is with the ball. Can he unload? No. Green wins that battle, does Blake Green. Now to the boot of Greg Inglis. He puts it high and long, and down it goes over the head of Carney. And the diminutive fullback comes back with speed to be tackled by Inglis on the Cronulla 20-metre line. Telapart for a run from dummy half and pulled down by Manu.
He's a beauty, isn't he? He's an absolute beauty.
This is the dummy half de Goyce, as the Cronulla fans, thousands in their number, try to referee the game for Tony Archer, and well they might. Here's Ross playing it inside the 40-metre line. Then to Kamali, behind Douglas, it's gone to Green, a dummy, and then he hangs on and doesn't go to Pomeroy. He'll play it on the 30-metre line, the last tackle, Douglas to Kamali. He puts a stabbing kick in, and there's Slater coming away with it after a little bit of a juggle, coming across to his uprights, coming across towards Anthony Quinn. Then he straightens as he comes to the other side of the field, a run of about 60 metres, actually.
Well, Melbourne are doing a great job of nullifying the Cronulla kicking game, putting a lot of pressure on Brett Kamali, who does not have an option. Most of his kicks have been rushed and pretty comfortably accepted by the opposition. That's Turner from the far wing.
Slater again at dummy half, as most people predicted he'd play a lot of dummy half tonight. That's Anderson in 16, Slater at dummy half, Blair on the ad line.
Yeah, well, the Sharks should really jam up tight in defence here. With Slater at dummy half, you can't imagine the ball going wide, because he's usually the signal to where the ball goes. They can jam up really tight in defence once Slater goes into that dummy half position.
Oh, Talapapa is trapped in goal, and then they get up and start swinging at each other.
Well, firstly, you don't give yourself up if you've knocked the football on.
Go over there. Missy!
If the referee had any doubt in his mind as to whether it was a knock back or a knock on,
Missy!
Talapapa said, well, I've made a mistake, sir.
Yeah, well, Talapapa's told the world, hasn't he, really?
Cooper!
So let's have a look at it again. The anguish, and there's the knock
Anthony!
on. And then Quinn comes through and
He's already grounded the ball. You come in like, right?
totally unnecessary tackle, really. I mean, Talapapa was quite happy to admit that he was in the wrong. And then he gets up and bangs it right to the side of the head of Quinn.
Go to NXT. Paul! It's no penalty. Paul! Missy! Over there, mate.
Cooper Cronk still just calming the troops.
Well, why isn't a penalty if last week...
benefit not knowing it's grounded, right? He gets up and throws a punch, right? I'm going on with the line drop out. You've got to keep a cool head, Missy. Don't react, right? Don't react.
Last week, I'm sure Jeff Lima was penalised for tackling Michael Ennis without the football.
Well, Missy Talapapa had the ball. I mean, Quinn's not to know that he has grounded it, although we saw it. We can't be sure that Quinn saw it. And he just went in to tackle a man with the ball.
Yeah, fair enough.
Time back on.
It's all good.
The line drop out. You see Melbourne launch an attack. 6.5 minutes from half-time. That's Anderson. Scott Anderson, the 16. Aitkins pass finding Sikamanu. And he drives those legs and takes possession down to the 20-metre line. Aitkins shows it. Calls them ahead if you want to come. Cronk then from Inglis onto Slater onto Falau. And Israel is tackled.
Great defence by Luke Cavell there. He read that beautifully.
is Slater coming infield for Crocker, and Crocker is met by 3 of the Sharks looking to unload, takes the tackle eventually. He'll play it on the 4th tackle. Back to the middle they come. It's gone from Inglis to Blair, who decides he can step them, reaches out and puts the ball. Does he put the ball down?
This will be the last.
Tony
I'm
Archer's
just
not
checking
happy.
the grounding.
Well,
Tony Archer was right on the spot.
Melbourne are happy. Cronulla look very despondent. The body language says he scored from both teams.
Archer was right on the spot. He could have said yes straight away.
Oh, it's a try.
What's he worried about?
It is a try.
What was he worried about?
He was throwing one hell of a party. Adam Blair. It would have been an expensive party had it not been a try.
Well, that's a killer. Not far out from half-time. 10-0 Cronulla. Played poorly the first half. They'd copped 10-0. 16-0 is a big difference.
And we are back and joining the party for Adam Blair. And of course the celebrations, they seemed in the extreme, but not if after 50 games of rugby league you haven't scored a try. And that is the case with Adam Blair. His first try in the top grade ever. Was it any wonder that he was jumping for joy? And Steve Turner gets an easy one this time. 2 difficult ones to start. And then an easy one for Turner down at the northern end. Laurie Daly sideline.
You need your interchange players to come onto the field and make an impact straight away. He come on at the 30th minute to replace Brett White. He's got great feet, this kid. He's a New Zealand representative, just going through some tired defenders there, and he just had brute strength to force his way over and extend the lead to 16-0 going into half-time.
He's one of those players, we probably don't name them, but we talk about these players that went to Melbourne with no stars next to their name, but Bellamy and company and Stephen Kearney, they've transformed so many of the players like Adam Blair and like Sikamanu and like Jeffrey Lima and Jeremy Smith into players that are, well, they're always worthwhile, but they now have such an impact. Here's Anderson with the ball. It was a suspect pass, I thought. You could have heard the crowd groan. We're close to half-time. And Melbourne 3 times to the line. At the 3rd minute, the 24th minute, and the 35th minute of the game. And then the kick from Inglis, who's sharing this responsibility with Cooper Cronk, and Carney watches it go dead.
Well, Greg Inglis is taking the kick that Cameron Smith would normally take. Cameron Smith with the left foot out of dummy half usually kicks down the left-hand side of the field. Cooper Cronk handles the right. Inglis, coming in close in the 5'8" position, is handling the left side kicking. Done pretty well too.
The winner to the grand final, in Melbourne's case, to defend their crown, to play the winner of tomorrow night between Manly and the Warriors. The Warriors were there in 2002 when Ricky Stewart's Roosters beat them. Of course, Manly were there just last year. Are we looking at this stage at the likelihood or the probability of a grand final replay? Here's Kamali going across and turning it in for Douglas. It's tackled by Anderson, the 16. We're on the final tackle in for Cronulla. And Kamali puts a giant kick up down towards the uprights. Billy Slater has to dodge between the uprights and then take the crossbar with him, and he fields it in goal.
That is an amazing take. He made that look easy in the end. Let me tell you, that is not easy. That swirling ball coming through the uprights, the crossbar in your path, and he would hear the footsteps coming of the Sharks. Look at this, he avoids the post, and the ball avoids the crossbar, and then he just takes it nonchalantly.
Folau on the 40-metre line. Here's Turner with a scoot away from dummy half. A couple of metres into Cronulla's area. Giant job in front of them. As Melbourne trundle it down the ground. Inglis will play it. Just outside the 20. 20 in from touch, eastern side, back to the middle. Cronk with a step and a run and a break. And he gets it back and he gets it away and it's gone on to ground. Knocked down by Cronulla, knocked on by Melbourne, double knock on.
First off Cronulla.
Well, it's just as well there was a Cronulla hand there because that was try. Great lead-up play and Adam Blair featuring very prominently again. Cooper Cronk stepping through. Gets a pass away to a support player. It's a lovely ball. Now, if this pass there finds the mark on the outside, it's a big overlap.
They're just carving them up through the middle of the ruck here in the last 10 minutes of this first half. Very sharp in that area now with some crisp passing, and the fresh legs off the bench have just been a little bit too much for the Sharks defenders.
So Dallas Johnson picks it up and they go straight to Folau on the short side. A play involving the lock and the half, and then Folau, the receiver, Anderson, Inglis, second man, deep, Slater, short, Gaia flops it down, Quinn has it go, the ball was deflected forward, and it's going to be a Cronulla feed to a scrum 10 metres out.
Yeah, it was a half chance there. Guy with the ball in the outside hand just tries to get one over the top and couldn't get a good grip on the ball. Otherwise, Quinn has an uninterrupted run to the line. If he had his time over again, I think he doesn't try to pass, probably just take the tackle. They did have 4 more up their sleeve. You can say, yeah, 50-50 chance, I suppose. I rolled the dice and came up snake's eyes.
Cronulla, 10 seconds of the half remaining. Tackled in the middle of the ground. It's Paul Gallen. This is Luke Douglas, and that should be it. And there's the siren in the background. So at half-time, Melbourne dominating the game. A game riddled with mistakes. The Storm 16, the Sharks 0. 3 tries to Melbourne at half-time. It is 16-0.
The Sharks now know they need to score 20 points to win. Their assignment's simple. The Melbourne Storm, how do they react to this big lead? They started the game high on emotion. They've had a week from hell. Has it taken too much out of them? Have they got something for the run home? That's the key here.
Here's the restart. 40 minutes of the season left for one of these teams. This is Anderson with the first run of the second half. And the newest inductee into the try-scoring hall, Adam Blair, takes the second. Played then by the deputy hooker, or the stand-in hooker, Aitken, before Johnson takes it ahead. Johnson playing it for Slater. Slater away to Cronk. He had ample time to put a kick in. Cavell is under it. He comes away towards the 20-metre line and comes to Folau, who's had some defensive lapses highlighted in recent weeks. But Cronulla really haven't been able to put enough together to highlight the deficiency in anybody, really. That's the disappointment for Ricky Stewart and the fans at the moment. Ross.
Well, at the moment, Ray, Melbourne have had 27 uses of the football. Cronulla just 17. If the Sharks will be a chance in second half, they'd have to dramatically get closer. They need a glut of possession in the second half, and they need to use it intelligently as Green tries to kick it in between the fullback and winger, does so, turn it back into his in-goal area. It's a nice kick. He'll be tackled inside his own 10. In fact, he finds Slater.
I don't know why he passed, to be quite frank with you. I mean, Slater's going to get bashed around enough. And they certainly weren't going anywhere, but he left the collision for Slater to take. He takes the next run, Slater, after Turner had one himself. So these two have been piggybacking this ball out of their own 20-metre line. Then Aitken goes on to Blair, who turns it inside for Manu. And Sika Manu always manages to make valuable meters, more meters than he should make, really. This is Anderson, gets tremendous drive through the thighs, does Manu. Then it's Inglis who grubbers it down the ground for Carney. Talking of Manu, the beast, Vadavai. He'll be on show tomorrow night against the Wolfman and company. Just inside 20, Talapapa.
We're talking football, right? Wolfman and the beast.
You're not off to a fancy dress or anything like that, Rabs?
Yep. Okay. You've got it. Here's Ross. Got to be across the nicknames, boys.
Rossi about to play the football.
That's it. Now for Kamali, Noddy, getting it on for Gallen, who gets it back for Green. To the 40-metre line, Melbourne's end.
That's good footy.
Here's Kamali. Away for Anderson. And to the 30-metre line now. To be played to De Gois. Now for Kamali. And the right foot kick back towards the uprights. Turner. And he's taken by Carney.
Very well positioned there, Steve Turner. He realised that his fullback, Billy Slater, was way across the other side of the field, and Kamali does have a habit to hook kick the ball back infield. He was right onto that. It was good stuff. It was Kamali on the right-hand half of the field. You see Billy Slater's gone right across there, and Turner, the winger, comes back to take that position that Slater would normally fill. Good teamwork.
Cronulla fans again baying for a penalty. They thought the pass from Crocker to Manu was forward. Now it's with Geyer, and Geyer is tackled on his 40-metre line. It's played and has come back for Cronk, who made the bust that put the first try together, gave the pass that gave the second try to them. Here's Carney on the return of the kick. Out to the 20-metre line, running it straight at Anderson, but he's only one of three involved in the tackle. Johnson and Manu got involved. Now Talapapa runs it at Blair and Cronk, and he's put away on the 30-metre line. Play by Missy Talapapa. Inside ball, De Gois to Douglas, and Douglas at the 40-metre line. On the third tackle for the Sharks. Kamali blindside play, quick hands from Gallen, finding Cavell. Cavell goes in and away and gets it down to the 30-metre line at the better end of the ground. Now for Kamali, long to Green. A dummy inside, he goes back to Carney. Carney goes on to Simmons. He goes in to Talapapa. He does the same for Carney. He comes to Green. They're inside the 20, and the ball with Nutley, and a snapping tackle by Johnson.
Great footy.
Now Green. Green puts the right foot on this ball. There are Melburnians everywhere, and it's marked in goal. It should be a 20 for Folau. No!
He's head from the field to play, and I think he's right. Who is it that takes it?
Folau.
Folau. I do think he had both feet in the field to play when the kick went forward. Great football by the Sharks from one side of the field to the other, and a nice little kick there. Yep, both feet in the field to play. Excellent call by Tony Archer, who was in great position to read. And this is what the Sharks need. A couple of repeat sets. They've got to go about this chase in stages. The key is to be first to score in the second half. That's stage one. The second stage is to get themselves within striking distance. And then the third stage is to hopefully finish it off.
Ben Ross losing the ball in the tackle. And it's high fives everywhere out there for, I think it's Cooper Cronk. No, it's not Cronk. In fact, it's Russell Aitken, I believe, that's made the chief contribution. It is, it's the 18.
It was a good, solid shot. And they're all having something to say to Ben Ross, who's very unhappy. And that doesn't help stage one of the program. They've got to start again. Forget about what's happened. Get on with what's happening now.
Here's Folau to the 40-metre. Bellamy versus Stewart. Crocker. Only been beaten in this jumper. I think he's playing his 41st in the Melbourne jumper tonight. 41st or somewhere around that. He's only been beaten twice, and twice that was to the Warriors, would you believe? Here's Anderson to Cronk, and then to Geyer, and Geyer almost stepping free, but De Gois and Anderson clamped the tackle finally. Here's Johnson, and the little fella's picked up and driven down. Tackle by Dan Nutley. Play just inside 30, centre of the ground, right side play for Cronk. He kicks towards the centre. I don't know about Slater, whether he's onside. And here's Talapapa turning defence into offence.
Oh, he's a good one. I like him.
Culliver for Simmons now. 35 metres away. This was Talapapa a few seconds ago. Quinn overran it. I thought Slater was offside. And a penalty goes now as we come back direct to Cronulla.
Yeah, holding down in the tackle there, David Simmons. 3 defenders in, not up quickly enough for the referee's liking. They are in good position on the back of that penalty. Let's see if they can maintain the pressure. Ross, he hangs on to this one.
Just beyond the 30-metre line, Cronulla setting up, hopefully for them, something that might bring them some points. Trailing 16-0 at the break. Kamali, shouldered by Crocker, got it away to Green. Green onto Carney. Carney gets the ball away, and Cavella's with it, stepping away from the western touchline. Played for De Gois. Now Cronk, I don't think is direct. Well, I would have thought that was a penalty against the captain of Melbourne. 9 out from the line. Carney, Green, Kamali, Gallen, ball lost backwards, and the crumbs are picked up by Folau. I go back to what I said just a couple of seconds ago. I didn't think Cooper ever got direct at marker.
Well, that might have been the case, Ray, and maybe it is a missed opportunity for a penalty there for the Sharks. But what they, yeah, he's offside. But what they're doing is not working, Cronulla. They've got to put a dent around the play the ball in on the edge of the ruck. This will help. A mistake from Melbourne.
I'll tell you what, Melbourne are walking here at the moment. They've got some wounded bodies out there. The last 3 blokes that have got up to play the ball have all struggled. That's the 16, Blair.
Instead of trying to go around Melbourne, I'd actually be working the sideline and then coming back and having a shot at the posts. Do it the other way around. Start from out wide and come back and work your plays more around centre field.
Well, they've got to hold on to the ball. They need a couple of repeat sets here because the Melbourne Storm have had a couple of really tough games. They've played the Warriors, they've gone down to the wire, got out of jail last week. They are down on troops, and this is where the fresh legs for the week off for the bye for the Sharks should start to take effect. Quinn hurt himself here and went down, and then Blair went down. They've got some bodies out there that aren't feeling too good.
Quinn's got an eye injury.
Time back on, ball in.
It's puffed up around the bottom of the right eye. And Anderson looks to me to be quite groggy as Kamali takes play over towards Quinn's wing. That's smart play. That's the first place you would visit. And then maybe a couple of runs at Anderson for good measure. 25 away from the Melbourne line. I think they might go back to the short side again and revisit Quinn before the end of this set. Although Kamali has come open side at the moment as it's played there by Adam Peake. De Gois goes across to Kamali to go to Green, and then to Pomeroy. And then Pomeroy will play it inside the 10. De Gois scampers across. They put a short side together, and it's been flicked back from Gallen. And it was Green who found the dirt. He had to very quickly. Kamali puts a rolling ball in. Beautiful play. Beautiful play by Cooper Cronk. We'll take a break and come back in just a moment. So Cronk it was, killing the ball. He had to make it perfect. As Ross, correction, as Anderson comes off.
Stay behind!
Scott Anderson for Melbourne. Just waiting for our network in Australia to come back to us. Inside the 30-metre line dropout has been taken. First tackle played for Cronulla. This is Peake taking it towards the centre and meeting up with Kaufusi and Aitken and Blair. A chance for Cronulla. De Gois, he showed it once, he went behind another. He went to Green, he went to Carney. Oh, Carney, did he give himself up or did he try to?
They gave himself up. It was an obstruction there, and he just stopped.
So it's with Green, who turns it in for Douglas. And Douglas will play the ball. De Goyson at the fourth tackle to Green. Kamali away. Anderson in from the back. And Aitken makes the tackle. The first tackle guy, the second to last. Kamali, right foot across. Cavell's big, he's strong. So it's Falau, taken and battered back down by Cavell. It should be the restart. It is the restart. It's with Carney. Carney's tackled on 0. De Goyce for Gallen to settle. Running it towards the middle. So they set it up the Arrowhead. And Kamali goes right side, Green goes left. They go behind Peak to Kamali. He serves a little ball up to the 15 for the Sharks, Brian Norrie. He plays the ball. They come away to Kamali. He goes back behind Douglas. He finds Green, who shows it and takes the tackle with Carney looming up on his right side. Now Peak onto Kamali. Kamali back for Gallen. Here's Cavell. Cavell running back into the traffic zone. 2 metres away, but still a couple to go. For the Sharks, can they get it over the line? It's Kamali out to the middle of the road for Brian Norrie. Norrie held and put down.
That's where to attack. Fringe of the ruck, last tackle.
Seven outs. Douglas Kamali. Kamali to Green. They got the numbers, it's gone forward. The final pass, it's gone to the touch.
Passes forward.
But the first breach was off Simmons.
Passes forward.
When it went forward,
Change
and I
over
think
here, Matt.
Archer's picked that up.
That's brilliant defence by the Melbourne Storm. When that last play the ball went down, they were so badly outnumbered on their left-hand defence. Look at this, big overlap, only had to get the ball through the hands, and Simmons in trying to get the quick pass because Quinn rushed him. Quinn gave him no thinking time or playing time, and still Inglis and Slater got across to the corner. That's brilliant defence by the Storm. Good attack by the Sharks too, but brilliant defence.
So Melbourne with Brett White back for his second session. Strong the first. That's Johnson.
They're walking the Storm. Look at them.
Here's Turner. Inside the 40-metre line. Play back to Aitken. A run for the dummy half. He's tackled near halfway. Adam Peake and Fraser Anderson making the tackle. Geyer goes for the kick. Cronk, right foot, drilling it down towards Talapapa's corner. And he comes away off his own line. Running a line. 15 in from touch. An ankle tapping, tired tackle from Dallas Johnson.
Did I say he was a good one?
Carney running along the 30-metre line. And now Cronulla are starting to stretch Melbourne. Now for Gallen, then Kamali, a dummy and a big break. It's Kamali down the left side. Cavell was with him. And here's tackle on the 30-metre line. Pomeroy pass to Gallen, who went over the head of Peake, into the arms of Douglas, away to Fraser Anderson. Anderson on to Simmons. Simmons in away again. He then gets away from Geyer. Stands, he can unload if there's somebody there. But he takes the tackle on the 20-metre line. Inglis was the tackler. But everything from Melbourne reeks of exhaustion at the moment. Here is Peake, who got it away. It was taken by Carney. Carney away to Talapapa, who's worrying them more than anybody. He's 9 metres out from the line on 5. Melbourne, some online defence again required as Kamali kicks over towards Falau. It's been batted over the in-touch in goal. And it is going out to the 20-metre line. His ruled has come off the attacking side.
Well, the Sharks just can't find the right pass to get the first score, and I'm sure if they get the first one, they're right back in the game. Melbourne Storm players are laying down in the background here, injured. There's fellas walking. Inglis is crook. Their forwards have got hands on hips, hands on heads, trying to summon up the energy. This last 24 minutes is going to seem like months to them.
34 tackles to Dallas Johnson, till 25 minutes to go in this game. 21 tackles to nil. The Storm 20 this half. Cronulla 21 play the balls there.
There's Brett White. And there's the tackle count. Melbourne 16, Cronulla yet to score. But the body language suggests that Cronulla are still very much in this game. Sounds crazy, but that's the way the language is coming off this ground at the moment. Kafusi to play it. Short side play. Aitken got it to find the line. We'll take a break. Come back in a moment. The guy, retirement at the end of this season. Kamali heading for the Bulldogs. Inglis is still down injured. Back at the Sydney Football Stadium, back at the Footy Stadium, the finals on 9. 16-0 Melbourne as Ricky decides to come to the sideline.
Get it back, Namasu. Heads in, ball in.
Look, I think he'll sense they're in this. They just need the first try. They get the first try. Melbourne then go into protection mode, and they're just running on empty at the moment. They've got nothing left in the tank.
Gallen plays it on the 20-metre line. This is Pomeroy running along that line before straightening. He played inside 30, Laurie Daly.
The Storm have shown us some great championship qualities over the last couple of weeks. They're showing us they want to defend their title and make their third grand final in consecutive years. But their defence, you always talk about your defence being an attitude, and they've got it in bucket loads tonight, this Melbourne team. They're working hard for one another. They're doing a terrific job.
On the halfway line, De Gois going to Kamali, and Kamali is put down 39 metres away from the line. Here is Green, who puts a kick in, and it goes down behind Turner. Turner a bit more anxious that time, a bit more urgent that time. They pick him up and they take him back, but they don't get him there.
Well, that's great work from Billy Slater. Threw his body in behind his teammate to keep him in the field of play or help, and goes to dummy half and picks up some sideways metres.
Melbourne Storm players walking back into position. This is tackle 3, and Antonio Kafusi's only just got back there.
This is Jeff Lima. He's become a player of great importance to Melbourne. They hardly used him 2 years ago. Then last year he came off the bench all of the time. This time he's played 21 from 23 in the run-on side. Here's Michael Crocker. Now on the 30-metre line just beyond.
So they can't play fast enough, Melbourne, to even get themselves a penalty. There's only really one team playing at the moment, and that's the Sharks.
Cooper Cronk getting a kick to go down and bounce for Talapapa on the 10-metre line.
Off the back of a pretty ordinary set, it's a good kick. Talapapa tackled 25 out from his own line. Greg Inglis still struggling out there. He's picked up a leg injury.
And almost see Inglis trying to hide out there as Carney makes a run, and he runs into Johnson. Quinn has gone back to that left wing, and Inglis now finds himself in the centre of the ground in defence. So a nice pick up there by Pomeroy, and Pomeroy takes it to 35 metres out from the Melbourne line. They can smell some points. They just can't reach out and take them. This ball has gone to ground. He's called it 5. It's played by Siu, his first finals match ever, as Kamali puts a kick in, and the rolling ball is taken nicely by Slater. Terence Siu from Newcastle, mid-season to Cronulla in his first finals, but then 8 of them around him for Cronulla are playing in their second finals game only. Here's Guy.
I thought he had big numbers to the right there on tackle 5, Brett Kamali. He could have run the ball or at least investigated a little bit.
There's Brett White running an angle off the pass of Inglis, and the crowd again suggesting that it was forward. Here's Inglis, happy just to catch and pass, and Cronk has dropped out the second receiver. It's a big kick down to Cavell, rolling in goal. Will it go dead? Will it go dead? No! And Melbourne arrive, and they arrive in time to force him. He loses the ball. He loses the ball. Archer standing on top of it.
This will be the first. I want to check 2 things.
What a
How
massive
the ball
play.
comes out, and whether or not a Melbourne bloke grounds it.
What a massive play. Luke Cavell wishing the ball to go dead. Took his time, then threw his body on the line to get back in the field of play. And watch what happens. Here we go. Kabang. Back he goes. Now the ball will come loose. It's hard to imagine it's not stripped. We're looking to see if a Melbourne player picks it up and scores. No, how can you tell?
No, there's no trying there for mine. 3 players led the way. I think Steve Turner takes the football out.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they're just trying to push him back into the in goal, and I think Cavell's done that to himself in trying to get to the field of play.
Well, Tolman doesn't score.
No. But it would be impossible to call a strip penalty, Peter, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think it'll be a line dropout. That's Michael Crocker coming in as the 5th player. 3 in the tackle. The referee will rule whether Steve Turner raked the football out. Tolman doesn't score. Crocker picks it up, but I think he's denied as well. I'm happy to go to line dropout. Cavell mistake.
Or tackle 1 for Melbourne, just short of the line. Cavell's knocked it on there.
The only Melburnian that may have scored is Crocker, and there wasn't any elation from him that I could see.
No. It's either a line dropout or I think a Melbourne play the ball right on the line to that man Crocker.
Tolman hasn't knocked on, by the way, and where you saw him come down with the ball underneath his leg, that was short of the line, but it wouldn't have been a try anyway because you can't force it with the leg.
Out. Steve Turner.
Strip penalty, Steve
Well,
Turner.
that's a ridiculous call. That's a ridiculous penalty. Luke Cavell did that to himself in trying to advance his arm out of the field of play. They just go in to make the tackle. That's all they're doing. Now, I know there's hands around the ball, but Luke Cavell, in going back into the in goal, makes a desperate lunge with his arm to come back in field and loses the ball. That's not a strip. That's not a strip.
Cronulla then. That could have been very dicey for them to give the football back to Melbourne right there.
But it's a nice little rest. What did we take? 3.5 minutes there to make a decision. And that's a little rest for the Melbourne Storm, just to recharge their batteries a little.
Having said that, and talking about the tiredness that is being exhibited by Melbourne, the chase on the kick that saw Cavell almost grounded in goal, it had a fair bit of intensity about it. It was a good chase. But you're right, they've had about 3 minutes to fill their tanks. Tell you what, there was a big queue at the Bowser. Now De Gois to Kamali, to Gallen, behind CUCU, Green, and then Anderson gets it away to the right side to Talapapa. Play the ball 30 away. Play back for Simmons. Now for Green, who's settled down nicely in the second half. The kick across, judicious, off Turner, and Crocker goes into the contest. Ball all over the place, stacks on the mill, and it's Melbourne's ball.
Change over.
Whoa.
I thought Michael Crocker might have got a touch.
To me.
I think Cavell knocked it back originally.
That's a let off there for the Melbourne Storm, I think. Either that or Tony Archer's an absolute genius.
Well, he's called turnover.
Let's have a look. Up he goes. He's a genius, Tony Archer. He's a genius.
Well, his performance tonight, he may well be, because I'll tell you what, he's got some tight calls very well. I mean, I understand that the Cavell call down here would have been Harrigan and Simpkins, but Archer's, he's got some tight ones, absolutely spot on. Here is Slater getting it away for Turner, in off the right foot, put away the glasses, he salutes. Turner, who was bound for Gold Coast, appealed for compassion. It was granted, and he's at Melbourne, but they're going upstairs.
Well, the referee has asked the video referee to have a look at some obstruction here, but it just looked like a pinpoint flat pass has put Steve Turner outside Luke Cavell. Let's have a look if there's any contact there. No, I think the contact was made by the defender, Michael Crocker. The decision made by Brett Kamali. But we will go upstairs. Turner showed some fleet of foot to come inside the final defenders there. Murray Daly mentioned championship qualities. Well, they might be tired, but they're still dangerous.
See, Crocker, I'm of the belief he was trying to run through the line. And I'd be surprised if they don't give this. It is a try for Steve Turner, his second of the night. What a night for the winger from Melbourne. He's a busy boy tonight. He scored at the 3rd minute. He's gone in again to score. With 16 minutes left on the clock, he's taken on the goal-kicking responsibilities. And he's all but taken Melbourne to the grand final.
Well, it must seem a long time ago. He was in that battle to stay down at Melbourne. At one stage he was leaving.
Start again.
But he adds the 2. 22 points to 0. And Matt John sideline.
Yes, just further evidence, boys, of the ball playing ability of Billy Slater. Nice work by Cronk. Just wrong-footed, nice little bit of footwork there. The second man play 3-on-2 to Slater, and with a slippery ball, he just strips him short, and Turner does the rest. 22 points to 0. They're off to their 3rd grand final in a row.
That's a fairly bold call. I'm not prepared to go there. Not yet. 22-0 with 16 to go.
And Greg Inglis being taken over the sideline there from the restart. Takes the ball close to the line. Gets up in the air and the boot just touches the ground. Good call from the touchy. And a scrum. 30 metres out.
Let's bind together before we go in.
You're not game to call it, and you've just taken the $50 out of my pocket. I can't believe you.
Time back on. Ball in, Brett.
Don't start telling people that, please. I don't bet on football, you know that. Here's Green. Now it's across for Pomeroy. He'll play the ball on the 30-metre line. Play towards us on the western side. There's Gallen.
Must be the only thing you don't.
Keep out of it. Now it's gone on to Green. Douglas. He's got it in. In fact, it was Snowden. Now it's Kamali. Behind CUTU had gone away to Carney, and Carney onto Anderson. And Fraser Anderson will play the ball. His family will have big interest in this match tomorrow night, obviously. As it comes with Kamali across to Douglas, and Douglas dragging 3 of the Stormers with him. And he's lost it.
It's a scrum, boys.
10 metres out, right in front, building, and then crashing.
That time off for the video referee decision up the other end there on Luke Cavell has made the world of difference to the Melbourne Storm. We pointed out a number of times how they were struggling. Poor old Lukey Douglas there. He's had a great season too, the young man. Big future in the game. This is a different level of football. Yeah, that time they took for the video referee decision was just enough to get the heart rate down for Melbourne, sucking a little bit of air. And it's just made them a little more sprightly.
15 out from their own line. Tolman is the 14. And the necessary call-ups for Craig Bellamy.
He's a really good young player. He's played 6 first-grade games, and he's held in high esteem because he wasn't just used through Origin. I think you'll find he comes from the same hometown as Greg Inglis. He's a Kempsey boy.
There's a lot of kids out there from the Northern Rivers, Pete. And Douglas, I think, from Yamba, and Greg from Barraville, and young Tolman from Kempsey as well.
Yeah, just 19, Tolman. Cooper Cronk now driving it deep again.
From outside his own 40-metre line, Carney will watch this go dead.
That was smart play from the Melbourne Storm. Both wingers for the Sharks had dropped back with Carney looking for an attacking off the kick reception. So they go 2 wide to Cronk, and the wingers have got to race up. Then he can kick over their heads. Still thinking, 13 minutes left on the clock. And in big games, the teams that think the longest, they generally win.
Here's Kamali. Bundled over there, and this could be described as dangerous.
Dangerous. Dangerous position, mate.
It's the word he chose. Cronk and Crocker. Bang. And Cooper's got the hand between the legs in lifting and driving. As I said earlier, it's a matter of the interpretation. And where you draw the line. Here's Nutley. Now for Kamali. Kamali goes back to Carney. And the winger is tackled by, or should I say the fullback tackled by the winger, Turner. Kamali for Nutley again, finding himself out in the back line. Then De Gois, Kamali on, Gallen through. Then a flick ball from Pomeroy. Gallen puts a kick in, Slater watches it.
Dead.
The Melbourne Storm had a lot of great players out there tonight, but the man that was going to be under pressure was Steve Turner, the right winger. That's where the Sharks like to attack most. His reads in defence tonight have been absolutely outstanding. He's been able to rush up and put some pressure on their ball players. He's caused a lot of errors, and here's another great read. So he bides his time, goes up and cuts them off again. He's been outstanding on the right wing.
Again, slow to play the ball. They've been in some bruising encounters in the last couple of weeks, and they've got out of jail twice. Or should I say, they lived to fight another day last weekend, and the grave was ready, but they wouldn't succumb. But they're a very tired and bruised team at the moment. The one I'm watching, Melbourne, and now they've got cramp.
Here's a problem.
Folau.
Let's hope it is cramp, and that's all. And you've got to say, this Melbourne Storm performance has been based on grit tonight. With no Cameron Smith, people were saying, well, Greg Inglis will step up to the mark, Israel Folau, Billy Slater.
Take the ball off him.
They've been good, but they haven't been great by any stretch of the imagination.
Stay there.
It's just that their defence has been tremendous. 27,570 here for the semi-final, the preliminary final. Most of them Sharky supporters.
Last tackle.
Change the globe on the porch. Harold Holt's not coming home this year.
So Cronk it is. He rolls it in to Carney. And 11 metres out from their line. What was that Jack Gibsonism about waiting for Cronulla to win a grand final? It's like leaving the porch light on for the return of Harold Holt. 28 away from the line now. And Green. And this is Carney. See, we drove most of our media attention to the fact that poor old Melbourne, no Cameron, no Jeremy, no Ryan. Cronulla's been doing okay without Greg Bird, but Brett Seymour, his form has been instrumental. I mean, if you like to go back to the fall of Greg Bird, it was about the same time as the rise of Brett Seymour. And that's him. The Bronco who became a Shark. In fact, at the Sharks, he became a park footballer. But he's had a wonderful year, and here's Melbourne trying to break them open again. Tolman is with the ball. Cronulla has played 8 times in prelim finals. They've won 3, lost 5. This is their 9th. Lost. Talapapa picks it up. Greg Inglis it was who lost it. Talapapa. I don't think I'm being unkind in saying that of all those that have challenged Melbourne's line, he has created the biggest panic. Nutley will play it on the 30-metre line.
I think him and Ben Pomeroy have looked the most likely, haven't they, as Cade Snowden wrapped up inside his own half. Melbourne now, they'll just grind it out. It's a huge lead. Turn Siu takes it inside. And it just hasn't happened. They were poor first half. Gallen loses the football. The referee will go upstairs to have a look at this. They had opportunities in the opening 10 minutes of the second half, but just couldn't capitalise. And that defence there pretty much won Melbourne the game.
I've got to say, Peter, too, I mean, the Sharks had a fairly soft run into the finals. I think of their last 9 or 10 games, they played 7 or 8 at home, and all against opposition that weren't really in the running or under strength. I mean, you can only beat who you played, but they beat up on a lot of sort of weaker sides, got to the finals and ran into an injury-riddled Canberra Raiders, had a soft win there, then the 2 weeks off. And this other side has just been battle-hardened. Russell Aiken has done a great job deputising for Cameron Smith. Probably the lack of hard footballers come against the Sharks tonight. They went up in grade against the Melbourne Storm, and in the early stages just showed signs that they weren't quite on the pace.
Here's Kaufusi to the halfway line. With under 8 minutes of the first preliminary final to go. Tolman away, Lima. It's a funny old pass from Jeff Lima. I was going to call that a no-look pass, but he knew what he was doing. Then he took a look around as if to say, oh, gee, I gave it the wrong bloke. Now here's Slater. Slater in the way. The referee gets out of the road, and Matty Geyer. Geyer is going to celebrate another try in the finals for the veteran.
And set up by an unselfish Billy Slater. The bench go up. I was talking to Ryan Hoffman before the game. He said he did everything humanly possible to make himself available. He had screws inserted early in the week. He didn't have a smile on his face earlier, but there's one there now. Knows that his team has gone through. He won't be there next week, but proud of their courage, footwork and speed from Billy Slater. Beats CU, comes to the fullback, draws and passes. And Matt Geyer, he had support as well under the posts.
So Matty Geyer, he 33 years of age, and he started playing in the top grade in 1997, same year as people like Danny Nutley. Quite a few years after Steve Menzies, who we'll see on Nine's coverage tomorrow night. That was his (113th) try of a career that started in 97. And the younger brother of Mark Geyer putting it over the line to celebrate again in the final series. He was one of the heroes of their victory in 99 when they defeated the St George Dragons.
And a very content Craig Bellamy has made his way down. Bit of a pat on the head for Dallas Johnson. Very glum Ricky Stewart. And I mentioned Ryan Hoffman missing out on next week's grand final. I'm particularly pleased as Melbourne get the football back for Antonio Kaufusi, who missed last year's grand final through injury, got hurt in State of Origin #1. And he'll be part of the 17 that defend the title next week.
So now with 5 minutes to go, we can talk with more surety about the result here. There's Hoffman, the ankle, the right ankle heavily bandaged. So Cronulla will farewell Danny Nutley. He will retire. Isaac de Gois will go to Newcastle. And Brett Camorley will go to the Bulldogs as Melbourne go away to Slater and now to Folau. And he's got it back inside for Slater. And he's tackled just inside the 40-metre line. They have made some interesting signings, though, the Sharks. Tupou from the Roosters. This is Kaufusi with the football. Trent Barrett from Wigan. And Corey Hughes from Cronulla, from Canterbury. And just a little bit of simmering there with Gallen saying to Cooper Cronk, sorry, give me the football. Still 4 minutes to go. Gallen cleaning Cronk up, as earlier did Anthony Quinn on Talapapa, an incident in goal. You sometimes wonder whether those contacts need to be quite as aggressive, but it's an aggressive game. It's a violent game. Just inside the 40-metre line, and if you play it, you've got to come to expect it at this level. They don't ask for a quarter, they don't give it. Now, this is Blake Green playing it back to Terence Ciu. Camorley is with the ball. He's gone across the head of Douglas and gone out to Simmons, who's given the ball to Talapapa. Talapapa, here he comes, running along the 20. Did the pass to Ciu go forward? Yes, it did. So they covered a lot of ground to throw a forward pass, but it's all now become frustrating.
All right, Chids, thanks, mate.
They're gone. They're out of the season.
There's Craig Bellamy, the victorious coach. 3 grand finals in a row now for he and his troops. All's not lost for the Cronulla Sharks. It's been a good year. Finished in the top 4. They converted that come finals time to finish in the final 4. Outclassed tonight against a very experienced and capable team, and they weren't at their best. They didn't bring their best football here this evening. But it's a learning experience for many of their players who've never played at this level before. And with the buys they got coming next year and Ricky Stewart at the helm, you'd imagine there'll be big improvement again next year. Not all's lost.
Played by Tolman. Lima passing at the line in traffic when pressure was on Anderson.
Please, would you just rest? It's 28-0. Please.
Tony Archer, please, would you rest? It's 28-0.
Yeah, well, Tony, the Melbourne Storm never rest. That's why they're as good as they are. They're not looking at the clock and the score.
You know,
we teach players not to look at the clock and the score. It can't affect your intensity. And Tony Archer's saying, have a rest. It's 28-0.
There's been a couple of things happen out there, and you can write some bylines that mightn't be accurate. But you remember when Folau went down with cramp?
Yeah.
The bloke was exerting pressure, and Folau said, it's not that leg, it's the other one. I'm absolutely sure Israel was saying you're working on the wrong leg. So Melbourne are going to go to the grand final. That is for sure. And the other thing for certain, they will play Manly or the Warriors. So the question is, on what you've seen tonight, with this side now almost decimated, what are their chances? The Eagles, the Warriors, tomorrow night live on 9 at 7:30.
Just relax. Nice shot, please.
Archer giving a feed to Cronulla. Knock on call. He's having a running joke with the Melbourne players now. Please, give me a break, he's saying.
28-0. I've got to say, I cannot believe that scoreline. I wouldn't have come here tonight thinking we'd see such an emphatic victory. They definitely got tired midway through the second half, and that's going to be Craig Bellamy's management this week. How does he freshen them up? Doesn't need to put any more football into them. They don't need any more in the way of tactics or game plans. His job this week with his staff is to freshen them up and have them ready for a grand final. Not easy given the amount of hard football they've played.
Well, Manly and the Warriors will be sitting back watching this game, and they must have drawn some confidence from it. Yes, it's 28-0, but it's looked like a team that really has taken some punishment, and you can see that they're not as effective as they are with Cameron at the helm. Half a minute of the game to go then. Tomorrow night, 7:30 live, Manly versus the Warriors. And there he is, the man that's been headlining the sports news right through the week. Cameron Smith. Greg Inglis has gone out of this match carrying an injury. It's all but over. Melbourne officially to go to their third consecutive grand final. They will get a chance to defend their crowds. They mightn't have the captain steering the ship, but they're going to defend it. And they're not going to give it up easily, no matter to whom. Coach Bellamy. And what a player this fellow, Billy Slater. Another enormous effort. A lot of dummy half play, plenty of unselfish support play. And Matty Geyer, his final try at the Footy Stadium.